Some people smuggle diamonds, others smuggle secrets, and then there's the guy who tried to sneak 40 pigeons into Australia under his pants. From snakes and socks to gold bars and body parts, human creativity truly knows no dignity. And just when you think the worst idea has already cleared security, someone else shows up at the airport with a live monkey in their hat, ready to raise the bar even lower. 1. Let's start strong with the man who tried to smuggle 51 live turtles through the airport by taping them to his body under his clothes. That's not a typo. 51. He looked less like a passenger and more like a walking, grunting aquarium. Security noticed because his shirt was literally moving. When questioned, he claimed he just sweats weird. Yeah, weird enough to make flapping noises. You have to admire the commitment, though, risking jail time to become a one-man reptile symphony. Somewhere in there, a TSA agent had to say, "Sir, please remove the turtles from your pants." That's not a sentence anyone dreams of saying in their career. 2. A woman in Colombia tried to smuggle half a kilo of cocaine by surgically implanting it into her breasts, and you thought bad plastic surgery was a problem. Airport security found it when she complained that her implants were leaking. Imagine explaining that to a doctor. Yes, I wanted a C-cup of Class A narcotics. It's the world's most awkward ad for cosmetic enhancement, now with 100% pure Colombian confidence. The only thing lifted in that procedure was her arrest record. 3. In a bold move that redefined emotional baggage, one man tried to smuggle his girlfriend into the United States. Inside a suitcase, Customs unzipped it and found a fully grown woman folded up like leftover laundry. He told officers she was fragile. I mean, sure, emotionally, yes, physically. Definitely after 2 hours in the luggage compartment. The miracle isn't that they caught him, it's that she agreed to it in the first place. That's not love. That's Stockholm Syndrome with zippers. 4. A passenger arriving in Australia once tried to sneak in 2 pigeons, alive, strapped to his legs under his pants. Nothing says criminal mastermind, like walking through customs sounding like a haunted maraca. When officials asked why he did it, he said he just really liked birds. Of course, because the logical next step after liking birds is turning your calves into an illegal aviary. Somewhere, one of those pigeons looked up at him like, "This is not what we signed up for." 5. In Spain, police caught a man smuggling 14 pounds of cocaine hidden inside. Wait for it, his wig. The guy tried to pass through security looking like he'd lost a fight with a cotton candy machine. His hair was so unnaturally inflated that officers assumed he was either hiding something or starring in a local performance of Marge Simpson the musical. Sure enough, underneath the toupee was a solid block of cocaine. He didn't make it to his flight, but his mugshot absolutely made headlines. 6. A man in China was busted trying to smuggle 200 iPhones across the border by taping them to his body. He looked like a discount Iron Man built entirely out of Apple products. He could barely walk, which, shockingly, raised suspicion. When customs officers saw him waddling through security at 1 mile per hour, they assumed either he was hiding something or carrying the entire stock of a Verizon store under his shirt. Honestly, it's the only time someone could literally have an Apple body type. 7. A man was caught trying to smuggle 30 snakes and 10 turtles in his pants, which just sounds like the setup for a Florida Man headline. He claimed they were pets, as if that made it less horrifying. TSA didn't buy it, probably because his jeans looked like they were possessed. And for the record, nothing, absolutely nothing, should ever slither near your belt buckle. The guy ended up in custody, but the real victims were the poor reptiles who didn't consent to being part of the world's least comfortable fashion trend. 8. In 2011, a woman tried to sneak a live tiger cub onto a plane in Bangkok, disguised as a stuffed toy. She literally packed it among plush animals in her suitcase. Security scanned the bag, saw something breathing, and realized one of these teddies was having a panic attack. The woman said she thought it would blend in. Yes, because nothing says normal luggage like a plushie that growls and needs feeding every 4 hours. The tiger was fine, but her life choices weren't. 9. A traveler in Germany tried to smuggle 14 live tropical fish by wearing a specially modified water-filled vest, basically a personal aquarium jacket. Airport security noticed sloshing sounds coming from his torso, which isn't exactly subtle. Imagine sitting next to that guy mid-flight, hearing bubbles under his shirt while he pretends it's just gas. It's impressive, really. He didn't just break the law, he also invented wearable stupidity. 10. In Dubai, a passenger attempted to smuggle 2 million euros by baking them into cakes. He literally folded cash into the batter like the world's worst surprise dessert. Security dogs sniffed it out instantly because apparently dogs can smell bad financial decisions. The cakes were confiscated, the man was arrested, and the airport kitchen learned a valuable lesson. Always check your sponge for currency laundering. 11. One genius in Russia tried to sneak a stash of rare fossils out of the country by disguising them as rock souvenirs. Because if there's one thing customs loves, it's geological mystery boxes. When officers asked what they were, he said just stones, which technically was true if you ignore the fact that the stones contained 250 million-year-old dinosaur bones. He wasn't arrested for smuggling science. He was arrested for being too dumb to Google export permits. 12. A man in India was caught smuggling gold by melting it down and molding it into fake airplane parts. He built literal golden gadgets and installed them in his luggage. It worked perfectly until one of the devices was too shiny and reflected light into a guard's eyes. Talk about irony. Caught by your own bling. He claimed it was a prototype. Yeah, sure. The prototype for how to turn yourself into a cautionary tale. 13. At JFK Airport, a traveler from Guyana was stopped for having strange bulges in his pants. Turns out they were birds, two live finches, wrapped in hair curlers, taped to his legs. The man told officers he planned to sell them for singing competitions in Brooklyn. Nothing suspicious here. Just a man with musical thighs. If he'd made it through, he could have started the world's first barbershop quartet powered entirely by discomfort. 14. A Brazilian man tried to smuggle a bag of cocaine by hiding it inside artificial buttocks. He strapped on the fake rear end like a bad Halloween costume and hoped no one would notice that he suddenly had Kardashian-level curvature. Security officers did notice, mostly because it was moving independently. He claimed it was a medical device. Yeah, the kind that makes your mugshot go viral. 15. A woman arriving in the UK from Jamaica once tried to smuggle nearly 3 pounds of cocaine inside a wig. It's unclear whether she misunderstood powdered highlights or just didn't own a mirror. Customs found it when her hair started flaking on inspection. She insisted it was dandruff. Yeah, the kind of dandruff that gets you 10 years in prison and an embarrassing nickname in the tabloids. 16. In 2018, a man tried to smuggle 200 tarantulas into Germany inside film canisters. Nothing says relaxing vacation like bringing your own horror movie. Customs opened his suitcase, expecting souvenirs, and found a nightmare convention. He said he was a collector. Sure, but you can't exactly collect something that can crawl up your leg mid-flight. Imagine the poor security officer whose shift started with a casual, "Oh good, spiders again." 17. And finally, a guy in Italy tried to smuggle 30 pounds of cheese across the border, which isn't illegal, except it was hidden inside his car's spare tire. Officers noticed because the tire sagged like a wheel of shame. When asked why, he said it was for personal use. Buddy, unless you're feeding an entire monastery, no one needs 30 pounds of emergency mozzarella. It's smuggling, not meal prep. 18. There was once a man who tried to smuggle cocaine inside a wheelchair, and not like, hidden in a bag on the back. He actually hollowed out the seat cushion and the frame. When customs asked to inspect it, he pretended to be paralyzed. The problem? He forgot which leg was supposed to be disabled and switched sides mid-conversation. That's the kind of method acting that gets you an Oscar and a 10-year sentence. Officers found nearly 6 kilos of cocaine and a man who could miraculously walk again. It's the only recorded case where a drug bust also counted as a faith healing. 19. In one of the most delightfully stupid plans ever attempted, a guy in Florida tried to smuggle meth into jail by hiding it inside a Bible. Because nothing says, "Forgive me, Father," like a secret stash between Psalms. He carved out the pages, stuffed them with drugs, and then handed it to the prison guards as spiritual reading. The guards, shockingly, opened the Bible. Apparently, even divine smuggling operations can't outsmart people who've seen Shawshank Redemption. He was immediately arrested again, proving that crime doesn't pay, especially when it comes with Bible verses. 20. In 2017, a man was caught trying to sneak a full-size horse sculpture made of cocaine through customs in Spain. It weighed more than 1,000 pounds. And yes, he declared it as art, which technically it was a performance piece titled How to Go to Jail Immediately. Authorities found $400 million worth of drugs sculpted into a majestic stallion. It's almost poetic, really. The Trojan horse, but make it stupid. Somewhere, an art critic is still trying to call it a commentary on addiction. 21. A woman arriving in Los Angeles from Mexico was caught smuggling live iguanas inside fake cakes. She literally baked reptiles into pastries and hoped security wouldn't notice the birthday cake twitching. When x-rays revealed the surprise filling, she claimed she didn't know how the lizards got there. Right, because we all accidentally mix butter, sugar, and 3 endangered species. The saddest part? She was transporting them for illegal sale, not even as a weird surprise party. Congratulations, it's a felony. 22. One guy in Peru tried to smuggle rare birds by duct taping them to his chest under his jacket. And I don't mean a few feathers. This man had 14 live birds strapped to his ribs like feathery grenades. Security noticed because his jacket was literally chirping. He tried to claim it was his ringtone. Yes, because everyone in Lima is rocking the new macaw mix from Spotify. It's not even the dumbest part. The birds were so tightly taped they had to be surgically removed. So, congratulations. He invented the world's least relaxing spa wrap. 23. A smuggler once tried to sneak a crocodile on a plane in a sports bag. You can probably guess how that went. The croc got loose mid-flight, panic ensued, and the plane actually crashed. Everyone survived except the crocodile. And the smuggler, whose last act on Earth was introducing emotional support reptile to the airline industry. It's the kind of story that makes turbulence sound like a blessing. 24. In 2019, a man tried to smuggle gold through airport security by shaping it into a fake butt implant. He literally molded gold bars into a pair of cheeks and wore them under his pants. Officers got suspicious when his anatomy set off metal detectors. He tried to explain it as a fitness device. Yeah, the kind that works your glutes and your criminal record. Imagine being the guy who spent hours perfecting a golden butt only to have it confiscated by a man with a clipboard. 25. In Bangkok, customs agents stopped a woman who was trying to smuggle 75 live snakes inside her luggage. When asked why, she said they were souvenirs. From where exactly? The Garden of Eden gift shop. She was arrested after one snake tried to make a break for it mid-interview. The officers didn't even need a warrant, just a broom and a strong sense of disbelief. It's a miracle she made it that far. Most people can't even get toothpaste through TSA. 26. A man was caught trying to smuggle cocaine inside his walking cane. The hollow cane was filled with powder, sealed perfectly and honestly impressive craftsmanship. Except for one problem, he forgot to glue the cap on. When he leaned on it in line, the lid popped off and a small snowstorm of evidence hit the floor. Nothing screams arrest me, like turning your mobility aid into a confetti cannon of narcotics. He said he used it for medical reasons. I believe him, specifically for treating chronic stupidity. 27. A woman in Madrid thought she could sneak 10,000 euros worth of ecstasy inside a pair of high heels. She molded the pills into the soles of her shoes and strutted confidently through security until her heels started squeaking like rubber ducks. Officers checked and found her footwear was basically a walking rave. She told them she was just a fashion designer. Sure, because nothing says haute couture like glow-in-the-dark meth sandals. 28. In South Korea, customs officials found a shipment labeled frozen seafood. Inside, human hair wigs soaked in liquid meth. Whoever came up with that plan clearly thought, you know what's better than hiding drugs? Hiding them in something that already looks cursed. The wigs were dripping blue goo like something out of a horror movie. It's not smuggling, it's performance art. The world's first crossover between Breaking Bad and The Ring. 29. In 2016, a traveler in India tried to hide gold bars inside his rectum, which, fine, not the first time someone's done it, but this man went big. I mean, 8 gold bars big. He waddled through customs like he'd swallowed a lunchbox, and when questioned, said he had digestive problems. Yeah, buddy, mostly financial ones. The x-rays showed he was literally full of treasure, and the internet never let him forget it. He's known online as Goldfinger, but not in the way he probably hoped. 30. A man in Kenya once attempted to smuggle an entire baby leopard through airport security by wrapping it in a blanket and pretending it was his infant son. The plan fell apart when the baby started growling. His excuse, teething. I don't know what's dumber, the crime or thinking a leopard cub could pass as a cranky toddler. I guess in a way he was right. Both bite when hungry. 31. In one of my favorite displays of confidence, a smuggler in Argentina tried to hide cocaine by stuffing it inside hollowed-out beefsteaks, because apparently meat delivery is the new money laundering. Customs got suspicious when the packages started leaking white powder. The man said it was seasoning. Yes, officer, it's just a little powdered flavor enhancer. Goes great with a side of prison time. 32. A man in Thailand tried to sneak 14 live squirrels in his pants. 14. He claimed they were comfort animals, which is technically true if your comfort comes from chaos. The airport x-ray machine showed what looked like a tiny mosh pit moving in his trousers. When confronted, he said, "They like it there." Buddy, they really don't. The squirrels were rescued and he was introduced to a whole new type of holding cell. 33. In 2014, a man in Venezuela was busted trying to fly out with 24 parrots stuffed in plastic bottles. Each bird had its head sticking out like a very confused soda cap. He said he didn't want to hurt them, just contain them. Right, because that's definitely what the environmentalists recommend. It's not smuggling, it's just avian Tupperware. If irony were a crime, this guy would have gotten a life. 34. And finally, an Italian tourist tried to smuggle ancient Roman coins by hiding them inside a jar of Nutella. Customs officers opened it, found a suspiciously metallic crunch, and realized someone had turned a hazelnut spread into an archaeological dig site. The man claimed he was preserving history. Sure, nothing says conservation like marinating 2,000-year-old artifacts in chocolate goo. Honestly, I respect the creativity. It's the first time Nutella's been used as both a dessert and a felony. 35. Somewhere in South America, a man tried to smuggle cocaine inside a dozen fake bananas. They looked perfect, bright yellow, realistic shape, even the right weight. His fatal mistake, he packed them with real bananas. Customs officers noticed the fruit salad had a few suspiciously unpeelable members. When they cut one open, out came a cloud of powdery potassium deficiency. He said he was importing fruit samples. Sure, the kind that gets you scurvy and 20 years. It's poetic justice, really. Caught by the one person on Earth who actually eats their 5 a day. 36. A smuggler in Hong Kong tried to bring in 7,000 microchips by gluing them to his body. He looked like a rejected Marvel prototype called Data Man. The guy literally shimmered under the scanner. Security thought he was wearing sequins. When they realized those were all Intel chips, they called him the human motherboard. Imagine explaining to the judge that your criminal strategy was inspired by craft glue. It's the only time I've seen someone arrested for being both a tech smuggler and a walking disco ball. 37. In Australia, a woman attempted to sneak in 2 full wine bottles of liquid meth by labeling them as holy water. Customs didn't buy it, mostly because it glowed under UV light and smelled like regret. She insisted she was bringing them for a spiritual retreat. Technically not a lie, she was indeed about to retreat, just into a prison cell. I love that she tried to sanctify her smuggling. Forgive me, Father, for I have trafficked. The only miracle here was how she made it to the airport without drinking her profits. 38. A Canadian man tried to smuggle 51 live turtles, yes, again with the turtles, by stuffing them inside his pants and socks. His legs looked like they were auditioning for Teenage Mutant Ninja Fashion Show. He even taped their shells to reduce noise because apparently that's a concern now. When caught, he said, "I just love turtles." Yeah, buddy, but love doesn't usually involve zip ties. At this point, I'm convinced every airport needs a separate turtle amnesty bin next to the liquids tray. 39. In 2013, a woman was caught in Madrid trying to smuggle cocaine hidden in breast prosthetics, again with the implants. It's almost poetic how often drugs and bad plastic surgery intersect. She told Customs she just had a medical procedure, which might have worked if the x-rays didn't show that her new chest glowed brighter than a rave. The surgeon who installed them probably deserves an award for most committed to customer retention. She didn't walk out with confidence, she walked out in cuffs. 40. A man at the U.S.-Mexico border was busted with a live tiger cub in his car. He'd hidden it under a blanket and claimed it was a sleeping dog. Yeah, because dogs are famous for roaring. Officers lifted the blanket, and there it was, a confused baby tiger staring like, "So this is Uber now?" He said he bought it on Facebook. Of course he did. Because nothing screams responsible pet owner like buying a jungle predator online and sneaking it into Texas. 41. A genius in Brazil once tried to smuggle cell phones into prison by taping them inside a hollowed-out watermelon. He even resealed it with glue and string. The guards got suspicious when they noticed the melon weighed more than a bowling ball and rang during inspection. The man claimed it was a new hybrid fruit. Sure, we call it the imelon. One bite and you can text your dealer. It's innovation, just not the kind that gets you parole. 42. In one of the most poetic failures ever, an Italian smuggler tried to hide gold bars by melting them into pasta shapes. He called it golden linguine. Security scanners spotted the metal immediately because even Customs knows pasta shouldn't look like C-3PO's intestines. He said it was a new culinary trend. Sure, carbonara a la felony. I can't decide what's worse, the crime or the fact that somewhere a food blogger would absolutely eat that. 43. A passenger in Qatar tried to sneak in 2,000 diamonds by stuffing them inside a toothpaste tube. He even squeezed some paste on top for camouflage. Smart, except he sealed it with duct tape and labeled it toothbrush paste, which is basically a written confession. Security opened it, found millions in gems, and a man who genuinely thought minty freshness was a smuggling strategy. At least he'll have a bright smile for his mugshot. 44. A man in India was caught with tin snakes hidden inside his carry-on bag, claiming he didn't know they were alive. He said he thought they were toys. Imagine being that disconnected from reality that your luggage hisses and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's normal." When the bag started moving, he doubled down. It's the wind. Right. The wind that hisses, coils, and tries to eat your socks. That excuse alone deserves a lifetime membership in the Darwin Awards Club. 45. In 2015, a German couple was arrested for trying to smuggle a baby chimpanzee inside a duffel bag. They said it was their emotional support animal, which it might have been, right up until it screamed during boarding. Imagine being on that flight, a baby chimp crying in row 14 while the couple insists it's just allergies. The officers confiscated it. The chimp got a better life. And the couple learned that emotional support felony isn't a real thing. 46. One man thought he'd cracked the code, smuggling gold through an airport in the shape of chocolate bars. He even wrapped them in branded wrappers, like a criminal Willy Wonka. Security noticed when the bars didn't melt under the scanner heat. He said it was dark chocolate. Yeah, about as dark as your future, pal. The irony? He would have made it if he hadn't bragged about his limited edition chocolate on social media. Turns out, gold isn't the only thing that conducts stupidity. 47. In Malaysia, a traveler tried to hide drugs by baking them into donuts. When officers asked why the pastries were unusually heavy, he said he liked them dense. Sure, dense enough to be used as a weapon. They cut one open and found a jelly-like surprise worth millions. It's the first time in history that a snack both ruined a diet and a life simultaneously. He claimed it was artisanal. Yeah, artisanally handcrafted prison time. 48. An airport worker in Miami was caught smuggling cocaine inside a cargo of frozen sharks, which, let's be honest, is the most Florida sentence ever spoken. Authorities discovered it because the sharks were heavier than usual, and one was leaking white powder. He said it was sea salt. Yes, officer, the ocean is famously filled with narcotics. It's poetic. Sharks, predators of the sea, finally outsmarted by the predator of bad ideas. 49. In the Netherlands, customs officers stopped a traveler carrying 20 jars of peanut butter. Inside each one, cocaine. He told them he just really liked peanut butter. Sure, who doesn't enjoy a sandwich that makes your heart race faster than a drum solo? The packaging was flawless, but unfortunately for him, sniffer dogs also love peanut butter. They didn't just catch him, they practically begged for seconds. Honestly, I'd pay to see that training session. 50. In Dubai, a passenger tried to smuggle $2 million worth of diamonds by hiding them inside his body. He swallowed them, 422 stones in total. That's not smuggling, that's internal jewelry storage. He told doctors it was temporary. Yeah, so is your freedom. Customs tracked him using an X-ray, and the scan looked like a snow globe of greed. He spent the next week in a hospital room waiting for gravity to do its thing. Talk about the world's most expensive bathroom trip. 51. And finally, the crown jewel of human idiocy. A man in Argentina tried to smuggle cocaine inside a fake baby. He dressed it in clothes, put it in a stroller, and even gave it a pacifier. Security became suspicious when the baby didn't blink, breathe, or minor detail, have a face. They cut it open and found bricks of cocaine wrapped in diapers. His defense? I panicked. Sure, because when life gets tough, some people pray, some people meditate, and some people fill a plastic newborn with Class A drugs. Humanity's final evolution stage, smugglers who can't tell the difference between childcare and crime. And that, my friends, is the moment I realized customs officers don't get paid nearly enough for this job. And there you have it, proof that humanity will smuggle literally anything except common sense. We've seen people risk prison, dignity, and basic biology just to outsmart airport security with the IQ of a shoe. So go ahead, drop your vote for the dumbest disaster below, or tell me if you've seen something even worse, because clearly this species hasn't hit rock bottom yet. It's still digging with a suitcase. Like, subscribe and brace yourself. The next list is somehow dumber.